Voltron Network.
And we're good. What's good, guys? Welcome back to Talking at the Movies. I'm Eddie San Antonio.
And it's Mo.
What's happening, Mo?
What's happening, man? Life-changing stuff is happening.
Yeah, okay, let's get straight into it. It's all gonna be you this week.
Is it all gonna be just me? Is it?
Yep.
What I've been watching?
Yep.
Hold on. Surely you've watched some of the stuff that you're supposed to have watched.
Oh, of course. Like, that don't cover this section. You know
Don't
that.
count, right? Okay, so I've actually watched quite a few films this week, actually, or last week, should we say? So I want to get into. I just want to go straight into it. Kingdom of Heaven, Ridley Scott.
Oh, damn! I forgot.
I even text you to say I've watched it, and you acknowledged that text.
Did I?
But anyway,
Where?
yeah, you even replied back, going, "Yeah, cool." Look, literally, 10th of February. I watched Kingdom of Heaven last night. In case you're thinking you're watching it.
But then you put News of the World out on Netflix, and that's what I saw, and that's what I replied.
That was 2 messages. See, look, can't even read simple text messages.
Yeah,
Right. So anyway, Kingdom of Heaven. Right. So I've never seen. So I've never seen the original theatrical cut. Right. I went straight in with not only the director's cut, but they've also got a cut on the Blu-ray called the Director's Roadshow Cut. Right, the only difference between that and the director's cut is at the beginning they've got like an overture, and right in the middle they've got an intermission. Right, and that the main score of the movie is quite nice. So actually, to get that for like 2-3 minutes at the beginning, actually really sets the tone, gets you in the mood, and it's like proper old school, right? Now, before I go into like my main thing about the movie, I'm gonna preface this by saying I did enjoy the film, despite the negative things I might have to say with it. I did really enjoy the film. So, first thing about that film, Orlando Bloom, right? Honestly, they could have got anyone.
Too young.
Not only is he too young, he's just not the right type of actor for it. He was great as Legolas, right? Because he didn't have to carry those films. He was there were honestly times where they were going for tension between him and whoever he was talking to, but it almost sounded like you were watching a sitcom with the way he would deliver his dialogue, right? It would make you laugh rather than go, oh.
There is that charismatic there's that missing vacuum that he creates. And too young, too pretty, all of that.
I think this must be the biggest misstep that Ridley Scott has ever made in casting. Because normally you watch his films and casting wise it's spot on, right? Or there's at least no complaints. And you kind of feel,
what was that Gods of Egypt one?
Oh, that one. Do you know what? I bought that in a sale recently because it was like $10 for the 4K, and I was like, I remember watching this in the cinema and thinking that's not a bad film. But watching the trailer now, it's kind of like, geez, it's got proper Westerners trying to play Egyptians.
Tone deaf. Yeah, except for the slaves. They got it right with the slaves, but apart from that.
But okay, but Orlando Bloom just clearly wrong for this. He did not bring the sort of gravitas needed. You need I think a Russell Crowe type actor, right? Because as soon as you see him in Gladiator, you're invested and you know that this is the dude. He's going to lay the smackdown. Whereas Orlando just looks too much of a pretty boy.
Yeah.
And doesn't bring the heavyweight needed to this. Liam Neeson also just seemed like a really odd choice, but I can live with that one because he's not in the film for that long, right? And my other real gripe with the film is that the first hour. So remember the director's cut. The roadshow director's cut is 3 hours 15 minutes. Yeah, take off 20 minutes of that, for credits and the overture and all of that. So it's all 3 hours. It's about 45 minutes of additional footage, apparently in this cut. That first hour takes a long time to get going. It takes you a while to get interested in the characters. It's not until they get to Jerusalem.
Yeah, that you right. It's in England. He's burying his.
It's in France, I think.
Oh, France.
Yeah, so his wife has just died.
Yeah.
There are additional scenes in the director's cut apparently that give you more context to that.
She wasn't allowed to bury it. She was suicide.
Yeah, she committed suicide. So they were saying she's gonna be in hell. Her soul's gonna be tortured, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's not until they actually get to Jerusalem that the movie gets going and you get really interested in it. So that's all well and good. And then there's just a couple of things that just really irked me about the film, and more about the plot. You get stuff like when the stuff is about to go down, the king and the king's man is plotting with Bloom, right? And he says, "Look, if we kill my sister's husband, you can marry her, and everything will be cool, right? There will be no war, everything will be peaceful."
This is the
And
king
Bloom's,
that has
yeah,
leprosy.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And Bloom's like, "No, I'm trying to be a good knight. Even though I'm sleeping with a married woman, I'm trying to be a decent human. Even though earlier in the movie, I just threw a dude into the fire and killed him that way, I'm trying to be a good knight and I'm going to let everyone else die."
Mm.
It just seemed like a really weird, like, I understand it. I understand it where he's doing it, but if you actually sat down and thought about it, but I guess there is a philosophical question that they're posing to you here, right? If you believe in God, and if you always do the right thing, the outcome will always be what God wants. Is
Mm.
essentially what this film is saying, right? God's will is infallible
Yeah.
until you get to the end of the film and everyone fucking dies.
Yeah.
And the second thing that kind of really annoyed me about the plot was Saladin tells the audience the reason you don't do warfare in the desert is because like you'll die of thirst.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a water for it, and that's good, right? They're literally telling the audience that. So towards the end of the film, Bloom comes out, tells all his boys like, "Don't go into the desert. You will die because there's no." They all laugh at him like, "Nah, don't be so silly." You're kind of thinking,
The
this
concept
is
of dying off first in the desert is something that they can't grasp.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's it. Like even this guy who's come from France, who's been in the city at most for a few months, he's telling you this like one truth.
Wow.
You guys live in the desert. You should know this, and they just brush him off as in God wills it, we will do it, type thing. See, like that's why I said I'm being very negative about the film, but I really did enjoy it. It's beautiful to look at. Musical score is gorgeous. The actual overall story is really really good, right?
Eva
It's
Green.
it's I was trying not to, but absolutely, she's an absolute delight.
Yeah.
Um, I know I've read some reviews that actually say like in the original um, theatrical cut, like her role makes no
That's
sense.
what I was telling you. Yeah. That it all the stuff where you see her going mad
Yeah.
after what was it, a son died? If I remember right.
Yeah. So no, well, so they
Can't
don't
remember.
make it explicitly clear until later on, but she kills her son, right? Because
Ah, there you
she
go.
discovers he's got leprosy.
All of that was cut. So you basically see her in the beginning being all
Yeah.
beautiful and suave and witty and the
Yeah.
exchanges, and then suddenly she disappears for a big chunk, and then she
Yeah.
comes back and she's got the short hair and she's just mad, and there's no context for it at all,
Oh right.
and that's why it's like, what the fuck's going on with that
Yeah.
character?
So I'm kind of curious to see the theatrical cut because I can't understand what 45 minutes you could cut from this film and it still makes some form of sense. I don't think it's possible.
It barely
Um,
did. That's why it gets such
yeah.
a bad rating. That's why they needed to do this.
Yeah, but the only now we've mentioned Eva Green, we've got to mention there's the scene where she comes to Orlando Bloom, right, and they're standing in the doorway before they like start kissing, and you're kind of thinking, again, is this the only reason Bloom was in this film, right? Because that's so unrealistic. Like they've not really had any sort of like conversation or anything like that, and maybe because I'm not as good looking a Bloom, I've never really experienced this in life. But and maybe that's why I can't understand it. But it's just like literally, she was drawn to him like with like this magnetism. Like there was no real love story. It was almost like a George Lucas love story.
That happens a lot in those sort of films. The guy turns up at a house, whether it's a place or somewhere. There's like that little scene where he catches somebody's eye,
Yeah,
and then later on, while he's in bed, they just appear at the doorway. That
yeah,
happens so
yeah,
often.
yeah.
Make love
Maybe
to me.
like. Yeah, maybe if I was as good looking as Orlando Bloom, I would say no. Actually, Eddie, that's actually it happens to me all the time in real life.
It's not fair, Mom. Why were we cursed? Such hideous
Yeah.
forms. It's not fair.
But yeah, do you know what? I mean, I can't believe I've waited so long to watch this, and it's definitely something I'd watch again. I don't think it quite reaches the heights of
Nah.
Gladiator, but then Gladiator I've seen many times, and I've only seen this the once. There is that like that fight, that battle scene at the end is pretty brutal and pretty cool, where they've got like the war machines just throwing like the boulders with like the fire and stuff.
And you think like the evil Knights Templars? Think they were
Oh
too
my
evil?
Yes, they were, but it also kind of fits the bill, I think, of people from that age, where essentially they're out crusading, right? They just want to kill the infidels. So it kind of fits the thing that really annoyed me, and I guess I can't get really annoyed because this is probably how it really is, where they were saying like, we will go and we'll fight Saladin and we will win because that's what God wills it. And when someone says, no, you won't, you'll die, it goes, that's blasphemous.
Yeah.
We wear the cross, that kind of stuff. But I guess that's just that's just people's belief back then, and you can't really hold that against the film.
Yeah. So would you rate it?
Oh, I would rate that a top-notch 4 out of 5. It's definitely worth watching. Then I went from Kingdom of Heaven on Tuesday night to something like completely the other end of the scale on Thursday night, sorry, and watched Adam Sandler's Billy Madison.
Ha!
Like you can't get too different.
This one the golf one?
No. That's the golf one's Happy Gilmore. This is essentially his like first solo outing. And it's such a bad film that you still actually really enjoy watching it, and you still laugh. And I don't know if you remember the lead actress. She was Sonya Blade in the Mortal Kombat films.
Ah, yeah,
she is absolutely incredible, looking wise. But obviously something wrong with her because Billy Madison in this movie is almost like a childlike kind of guy who has to go through school again, and she falls in love with it.
That is just a questionable plot point. They could not do that now.
But like I said, like because there's a load of like those Adam Sandler films that I've missed, so I'm trying to go in and fill in and watch those because they're just they put you in a good place. They're just happy movies. I know a lot of people will frown on Sandler, but
those early ones did have a charm. Yeah, those early ones did have a charm to them.
Yeah, so there's like so I've got Little Nicky, Mr. Deeds, and there's the one where he gets the child.
Daddy Daycare?
Not Daddy Daycare. No, that's something else. It's the one
Eddie
where.
Murphy one. What's the? Yeah, I know the one.
You know the one I mean? Yeah, I can't remember the name.
And poster in my head.
And 50 First Dates, I think, is the other one. There's a whole bunch I've got that I'm going to watch the entire thing. But then I'm doing that with like I've got a whole load of Steve Martin movies that I want to watch. Dan Aykroyd, like all the Jerk, yep. Chevy Chase, I've got a whole bunch of Chevy Chase films that I want to watch.
No, a lot of them are great though, if I'm gonna admit.
Yes, I do want to go through the whole lot just to see how come he became this big star, but by looking at the films and looking at their ratings, I don't understand if he actually was ever a big star.
It was SNL.
Yeah, but SNL was at the beginning. All the films came afterwards.
That's a long wave that he rode. But I don't know what Caddyshack.
Yep.
And
the Fletch. Well, so Fletch. I don't actually. I've watched Fletch many times, like on TV, but I've never watched Fletch. If you know what I mean, I can't remember. Yeah. So I don't know if that was a good film or not. So the only ones I see being successful are like the vacation films.
Yeah,
is that what made him a superstar?
I think it may have been. He did keep coming back to him, and then
is that what made him that famous?
His Invisible Man, which I can't remember.
It was John Carpenter.
I don't think his Invisible Man was good.
I do want to watch that because obviously that's a John Carpenter film as well. And then I went off like on a side mission where I started reading about Chevy Chase because I was like, everyone keeps saying this guy's an arsehole. What actually makes him an arsehole? Let me like read like the account of like his career. And it kind of just sounds like he's really difficult to work with.
Yeah. You can't read it's you have to find some interviews of actual people that worked with them and just go through the Dan Harmon book.
Well, I looked at I did get like the article covers that as well, but it kind of looks like Dan Harmon is also actually quite difficult to work with as well because he did also end up getting fired by Sony as well at one point.
Yeah, he's a bit no.
But yeah, that really just good film. I haven't managed to watch many episodes of Rome this week because I've just had film after film after film. And we're going to talk about News of the World.
Yep.
We're going to talk about Wally's Wonderland.
Yep.
And are we going to talk about
Wandavision? Also this week we're gonna be reviewing 4 for our MCU retrospect rewatch. So stick around for that.
Yeah.
That's coming up later, guys. Wally's Wonderworld.
Wally's Wonder
One of
World.
our movie reviews. An indie release starring Nicolas Cage. And this, I have to say off the bat, has re-established why I just don't want to bother watching any Nicolas Cage films ever again. This was one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Really?
It was
Hold on.
painful.
When you say one of the worst films you've ever seen, you mean like one of the worst films you've ever seen?
It's painful. It's painfully bad. Painfully bad. Okay, change my mind. Change my mind. I don't know how you're gonna justify this.
Right.
I want to hear it. Go for it.
So I actually understand what you're saying, because I also feel this was a really bad film, but this is like, you know, like how sometimes a film is so bad, it is actually good to watch. And I will say this: the first 20 minutes, half an hour, I was disinterested. I was tired. I fell asleep for about 20 odd minutes. I woke up. I rewound it back, and then I was engaged with it. So I wonder if I was just tired.
It's made me tired. That's the common denominator here.
I'm not going to say this was the greatest movie ever made. I do seem to have this love all of a sudden for like films that try to capture the B-movie type atmosphere. This had it in spades, right? Because the acting is terrible. Yeah. But I don't know if the acting is terrible on purpose.
No.
It might be on purpose to like capture that feel of like the old B-movies, right? It's a simplistic plot. I like the idea. I love the whole routine of it. Like no matter what he's doing, he'll stop when the buzzer goes off. He'll drink his beer. No, it's not even beer. It's like a soft drink.
Yeah, I thought it was beer the whole film until the very end. You just see pop on the side.
Yeah, he'll play like he's pinball, and then he'll get back to it. And no matter what happens, his mission is to clean the place up.
Yeah. He knows he's been set up to be a sacrifice. Yeah. He don't care. He's just gonna do his job that was given to him.
Did you go and Google Casey Cohen after this film?
Which one was she? The boxing
So
one?
She was the one who was the ditzy one, yes.
No, I didn't.
I would go and Google her because she is incredibly attractive.
I need to Google to find out, but yeah. But that was one of the dumbest parts of the story. They argue so much about going into this place. Well, you want to break down synopsis? You got that?
Okay, yeah. So the synopsis is essentially a quiet drifter is tricked into a janitorial job at the now condemned Wally's Wonderland. The mundane task suddenly becomes an all-out fight for survival against wave after wave of demonic animatronics. Fists fly, kicks land, titans clash, and the only one side will make it alive.
Yeah. So basically, this place was created by serial killers.
Was it created by serial killers?
Yeah, then the spirits. You must have slept through that part then. Did you see the flashback?
I don't remember that bit.
See, you slept. see, that's how bad it was. There was a flashback that explains what's going on.
Yeah.
Basically, this Wonderland restaurant.
Oh no, I do. Yeah, I know. I do remember that. But they didn't create Wonderland. Wonderland was there. They went and did like a load of killing and stuff there, right?
No, they created the man Wally.
Yeah.
The man whose name it is created it. He created the place.
Yeah.
And all of his friends, all the staff, were also serial killers /
Right. Okay.
Whatever, kiddie fiddlers, whatever they are.
Yeah.
And they killed some family. The cops came to get them, and they decided to do a ritual sacrifice before they were gotten to by the police. So their spirits inhabited the animatronic things, and that's what's killing everybody. But that part where they're all arguing about not going in there to get him because they know that these demonic animatronic robots are there killing everybody.
Yeah.
But then once they get in, within 2 minutes, two of them decide, hey, let's just sneak away from these other guys and go into this room on the other side of the building where no one can see or hear us. That'll be fine and just have sex. What's the step? It's just dumb.
Did you not see like how attractive that girl was? Wouldn't you risk it?
Do it outside in the woods then, not in the. And then when it's in the corner, it's like
it's the danger element.
Oh man, it's just so dumb, so dumb. Yeah,
it's not going to win any awards. I would have probably been really disappointed had I gone to the cinema. I think this type of release is perfect for this like VOD type thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm a bit conflated as to what to give it from a ratings perspective, because I think 3 is too much, and 2.5 seems like quite harsh.
This is a 2-star film.
You know, like, I don't know.
2 stars.
It's got some charm to it. It's not something I'd probably watch again and again and again.
Wow.
But I don't think I think I've seen way worse.
Wow. I'd like to know what that is, though. Seriously. This was painful. Stay away from Willy's Wonderland, guys. Painful film.
But it's not that bad.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, 2 stars for me. So what you actually settling on?
I'd probably give it 2.5.
So you didn't really like it then?
It's 3. Like, if I give something a 3, that means it's like a decent, average kind of film, right? And I don't think it kind of hit that, but I don't think it's a bad film either.
Jesus, you weren't kidding, man.
Yeah.
She looks better than she looked in the actual film. It's like they made her uglier in the film. That's just weird. Alright, so yeah.
Right. So do you want to talk about news of the world?
Let's do it.
Right. So, news of the world. Tom Hanks's Netflix film, where essentially
wasn't originally though.
My name is Captain Jefferson.
Well, that's what I was wondering, right? Because I think it wasn't, but in the opening credits, it's actually got but you know when the opening credits are going, it's actually got presented by Netflix, like in the actual film credits.
They do that whenever they buy something.
No. Normally they'll put it like before. This was actually like in the, like after it's gone, like starring Tom Hanks, yada starring this person, that
we
person.
got the whole Universal fanfare at the beginning, so it was obviously
a non-union. I can't remember what the opposite side is.
Yeah, the one where they took it
Confederate,
over.
I take. Yeah. Where he's talking about like the demands that the federal government is putting on like readmitting Texas into the union. And I was like, hold on a minute, what? I didn't even realize that after the war, like some states were no longer part of the US, and I had to go and Google it. And you could tell other people have been Googling it, because you know when you put like when was Texas, and it then filled it in like readmitted into the union.
Yeah, Texas has always had the image I've always had, just from the media, is that Texas has always been this place which always views itself as its own country. I've even heard people argue that they want it to be completely separate from the rest.
They
of the
want
US.
to text it.
Yeah, it's like so crazy.
Yeah,
but
it's but like when they go to that town, and I think it's after the news reading, and the guy comes up to him and tries to take the gun.
I was about to get into that. That is
my God, that was like, can you imagine that? Like as a parent, like you must be having palpitations, right? But
basically, he's this is at the point where he's come across this girl with the crashed wagon, and he's decided to take her under his wing. He can't really do anything with her, so he has to take her with him. Carries on doing his news reading thing, and this guy sees the girl, and just you kind of forget the mentalities were different like 100, 200 years ago. They had no moral cutoff point, not generally, but a lot of people didn't when it comes to like what was appropriate. And this guy just decides, give me the girl.
So
£50.
Yeah. So actually, I was trying to work out what was the reason he wanted it. Because he knew the girl. He knew the girl specifically. So was it like to get money from her by selling her or whatever, or was it to do like something like unimaginable?
Because he said that she would even be paid. What would she do? What would she have to do where she would need to get paid for? Mo, they want to turn her into a fucking prostitute in like the saloons.
Right, but then I'm sure that, like, heaven forbid, but I would have assumed back in those times there were ample homeless, parentless children that they could have dragged. So trying to take like a girl off somebody else seemed like an incredibly risky thing to do.
I don't think there was that many just wandering around. Remember, everyone's so isolated in these little towns with mad distances. I don't think there's kids wandering around.
But just absolutely harrowing. And then you just kind of think, oh my God, like they're completely screwed now, right? Yeah. You see, like, do you not think like Hanks trying to leave town was like the worst thing to do? Because essentially he's trying to on his wagon.
I always think that whenever someone's just has a wagon against guys that just have their horses, it's so pointless. How can you run?
Yeah, it's like you might as well stay in town and try and outwit them or get them to slip up, or get them to slip up so they get arrested or something.
That's the thing, though. They did get arrested, and then 5 minutes they're fucking back out.
I think they got pulled up for having a gun. There seems to be something here. and they didn't really explain it as to like having a gun was illegal or something like that.
A sidearm. I think they were right with rifles, but crazy.
Yeah, they did. There was something that wasn't explained, but fantastic film. The only thing, did you think the ending was a little bit Hollywood?
Without ruining the ending for you guys, I like the ending. I liked how it went.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Like I would have hated it had it ended up any other way, but it did seem a little bit Hollywood.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess, but I don't think it would have been satisfying any other way. Personally,
it would have been true to life another way, right? I mean, I can't understand anyone that's saying that it's slow, not a lot happens. I think a lot of people are comparing it with like other like westerns that deal with similar themes. So maybe I need to go and watch Hostilities, I think was one of them. Yeah, apparently it's a very similar road trip type thing. But yeah, no, I this is one of those sort of films where the trailer just did not do like the film justice. This Helena, what's her name? Helena Zengel. Don't know how you pronounce that. So she's actually been nominated for like Golden Globe Awards for her acting in this role. I just want to stress, she was absolutely, like, you got to imagine she's 12 years old. I thought she was just phenomenal and carried this film along with Hanks. And I wonder if this is going to generate Oscar buzz. Right. What would you give News of the World? I think that's a rock solid 4, right?
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next bit, there was actually something else I watched. I completely forgot to write it down. I watched Greenland on Friday night.
Okay.
I've got to say, I think I must be the only person on the internet that did not like this film.
Really?
I honestly...
On the internet? You say you've seen that much positive...
Oh yeah, people are loving this film. Like, you go any forum, like, it's all, really glad I watched this, really cool. I think a couple of people might have said they might have been a little bit disturbed with some of the scenes that were in the film, especially around like the child and stuff, just because they've had small children or whatever, and you can completely understand that.
A lot of that is the stupidity of the parents, though. Like, they always put themselves in situations where that kid's gonna get fucked up.
Well, I mean, in that situation, the mother didn't have a lot of options.
That was fucked up. That was a funny one. No, we're gonna be good to him. We're gonna treat him right. Huh? What do you mean?
Do you see the woman? She was like, didn't want to go along with it, right? But like, I literally changed her tune. Like, after a little while, I was just happy to go along with what her husband was saying. Honestly, I felt like I wished I was watching anything other than what I was watching. And maybe it's because of the environment at the moment. Maybe like there's already enough doom and gloom in the world to watch a film about a world that's about to be destroyed might not have been the best thing. I just felt like we've seen all this before.
It's a disaster movie with not a lot of disaster. Like, it's little bits of it there, but compared to like the Roland and Emmerich films,
it's more about the journey of those characters, right? And I can completely get that. I was just disengaged with it. I mean, I think the only reason I watched it all the way through was it's been such a long time since we've seen Morena Baccarin on the screen. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to savor the moment and just keep watching. But like, oh my God! At one point, when they got to her father's, I was just like, just stay here. Just like, this would be a nice place to see the world out. Like,
just die. They're like, fuck it, screw the kid.
It's like, but then he goes like, if we get to Canada, because I heard some guys talking on the back of a truck that there are planes that are going to Greenland, right? That's the sort of thing you see on Facebook. Let's just go there. And I promise you, even though we got turned away before, we're going to get into that base.
I just couldn't help thinking that you've got this kid that's diabetic, needs insulin.
Yeah.
At some point, especially with the world getting obliterated, you're going to run out of insulin.
You are.
So I know that there must have been diabetic people throughout history before insulin was invented. There must be other ways to deal with it. But
probably died.
But there must be some natural way to deal with it through diet. But...
Yeah, but I think even like insulin medicine also has to be refrigerated, right?
Yeah, but once that medicine's done, what sort of diet do you have to maintain it? And do they know that? Is it just like putting off the inevitable?
Yeah. It depends also how bad it is, right? Because you have type 1 and type 2 as well of diabetes, don't you?
Yeah, sucks. So what do you give it?
Yeah. Oh man, honestly, I just never want to watch that film again. I'm going to give it a 2.
So you telling me you liked Wally's Wonderland more than Greenland?
I think I did actually, because at least that is interesting and funny to watch. Whereas this was just like, I actually just wanted to watch everyone die. If I'll be honest, the one good thing about this film, like towards the end, like when all the meteor bits are breaking up, man, my living room, like every speaker was just like little like bashes happening. It sounded fantastic. Even the cat at one point like was asleep on my lap, like he just like he put his head up, like you could hear his ear, like what is all this sound?
WandaVision.
WandaVision episode 6.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that's about. It's probably just a case.
It's been a while. I'm trying to remember what the hell happened. Oh, this was the Halloween one.
This was the Halloween episode
where they're all dressed up in their comic book accurate. I love how Marvel do this. They always find little sneaky ways sometimes to get their characters in comic book accurate costumes without it necessarily being serious. They did it with Captain America when he was doing the road show during the Second World War, and they did it with this for their Halloween.
I think the first thing we've got to say about this episode was the opening credits, right? Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes. But if you're a stickler for detail, that means they skipped the 90s.
Yes, yeah. They went from the 80s straight through to the 2000s. Although actually, no, hold on. Malcolm in the Middle started late 90s.
No, 2000.
Was it 2000?
Yeah. So they could have done one that's like Friends or like Cheers or something.
Unless the next episode they've got like something else that they want to do, right?
Even so, it just didn't make sense to skip the 90s. Even though this did feel 90s, and Malcolm does feel, even that opening credits does feel very 90s. Yeah, it was 2000 technically, but
but like but they did it really well. Like this, but it was all Malcolm, and I think Disney now actually own Malcolm in the Middle as well, so they could blatantly get away with that.
Yeah, might be on Stars. That'd be a nice show to go back to. I think that's one of the ones that would hold up.
Oh, it does. I watched it all like even I think 2 years ago, and it still holds up. Lots of interesting stuff in this episode. I think I preferred like the Vision storyline over like the Wonder one, because it kind of, some bits felt like it was just a holding pattern or an information dump to people. But the stuff going on at Sword, the stuff happening with Vision, incredible, especially with Vision and the neighbor Angie. Is it Angie?
Yeah, I think so.
Where he basically meets, like he goes to the edge of town, and like things just aren't right. Although when he's at the edge of town, all I could do was just look at those houses and go, man, if only I could live in like something like that with all that space.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's like probably the rent that I pay now. I could friggin' rent a house. That's ridiculous.
That would be great for quarantine as well, right? Because you've got all that like space just outside your house as well.
Beautiful.
Like chill out.
Innit? We could just come sit in your back garden.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's cool that way. It would have been great.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I was kind of wondering what would happen to Vision once he tried to leave there. Would he kind of die? And I guess we have our answer, right? He absolutely would.
Start to disintegrate. But I love that as he's pushing through. And even then, selfless act, he's saying, help. The people need help. It's not even for himself. Even as he's dying, he's still trying to, even without that soul stone, whatever it was. Was it Mind Stone or Soul Stone?
I can't remember which one it is.
But yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
Love it. But that guy, that head of Shield, he's such a fucking stereotypical.
They always are though, right? Unless he is the protagonist or the hero, they are always like that.
So annoying.
Not only that, right? But then you see that like they handcuff like Darcy, like to the car or whatever, right? And then leave her there when shit happens.
That's such a piece of shit. So we see that. I guess. Well, it's weird because now we know that the children truly are independently thinking beings because they were reacting to what was happening to Vision while no one else was around them. So they are truly alive. So how are they going to deal with that when this has to end? How they're going to exist?
Well, that's a weird one, right? Because has she just magicked life into the world?
It would appear so somehow. But well, the thing is, you have to remember that Wanda's power is manipulating reality.
Yes.
So technically, you can manipulate reality to make these children real in a way.
Oh, I don't know. That's like taking your level. That's taking your power to God level.
But that is
you
manipulating
can
reality
life.
is God level. You can
But then
make anything out of nothing.
If you can make anything out of nothing, why can you not bring Vision back to life? Literally bring him back to life.
I guess maybe she could. Maybe she doesn't realize that she can get up to that extent.
Yeah.
But yeah, this bubble that she creates. But yeah, she expands it. And I need to see Kat Denning next episode in a maid's outfit from a restaurant. In the
not maid's outfit, you mean a waitress outfit?
Waitress, maid.
Two broke girls.
She has to be the two broke girls. She has to be like a diner. I need that, and that could be the next. Because what from the 2000s
to 2010s, yeah.
Yeah, that two broke girls was.
Did you know that show? I think I stopped watching it after like 4 or 5 episodes. That show ran for like 6 seasons.
Yeah, it always baffled me every time I saw another season came. I gave the first series a go, and it was like, this is not great.
Yeah, like even I was like, this is a terrible show.
And you love bad sitcoms.
And I was gonna say, I love shitty sitcoms.
So
interesting stuff between Wanda and her brother. The conversation that they were having, right?
Yeah.
Because even she was kind of like wondering, why are you here, or why are you like a different, not my brother?
Yeah. And I'm fascinated to see how they're gonna do it, because they're completely different. This whole story is completely different from where the comics went. Not completely, broad strokes, but yeah. So they're off the reservation, man. I just cannot wait to see how they're gonna resolve this. Whether Professor X is gonna pop up. Shot.
What? Magneto?
Even longer shot. I can't see that happening. But
Doctor Strange.
Who knows? I think that's almost definite.
Was a little kid wearing a Doctor Strange Halloween outfit?
No, that's actually his comic book accurate. Those kids do exist in the comics.
Yeah.
And that's
right. Because I saw that. I was like, oh, is that like a Doctor Strange outfit?
Did you notice the two kids that were dressed up as Scarlet Witch and Black Widow and Nick
I did not notice that.
The trick-or-treat kids that turned up at the door.
Oh no, I didn't. I did not notice that. Maybe I did, and it completely just went, because in the town scene, I kept looking out for other kids. Because remember in the previous episode, the Vision was like, "Where are all the other children?"
Yeah. So she just manifested more kids for Halloween.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's
become such a good mystery.
Oh, it's just such a fantastic show, and do you know what I mean? It's just there's just nothing like this on TV, and I can't actually think of anything else that's like been this quality. And again, I kept saying to myself, this is like this is a PG-13 show, right? That doesn't rely on violence, sex, swearing, but yet is still so fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it is really like an extended Twilight Zone episode.
It is, but it's almost like you're actually watching. This is the next MCU movie, right? It's just coming to you in like 8 or 9 parts.
Yeah,
on a weekly basis.
All together in one.
And while we're on the subject, I should probably say, like, this time next week, not related to Wandavision, but this time next week in the UK and a lot of European countries, we're going to have access to like Disney Plus Star. Your content's about to double. I might actually go into that app more than once a week to watch Wandavision.
Just to give like quick broad strokes on what the original Wandavision, it's not called Wandavision, it's called like House of M story is. Basically, same sort of similar setup. Her and Vision create her, she creates her kids, and she creates this like bubble around herself that these kids live. But she begins to manipulate reality where she takes everyone's memories away. It's like worldwide.
Yeah.
And people are living their best life, but only Wolverine realizes that this isn't what reality is supposed to be. Kind of like how he was in Days of Future Past. But it basically ends with her being confronted by Professor X and her just deciding, F this. I'm going to just get rid of all mutants. So it ends with her saying no more mutants. And it just wipes out the mutant race, except for a small handful. Right. So this could, when it ends, be a reverse way of introducing mutants compared to how they took away mutants in the comics.
That does seem to be the main thing. Although I wonder if they're kind of angling with something else. But it's the thing that makes the most sense, right? I guess it introduces the mutants, and I guess introducing the multiverse.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just kind of wait. I know we say it all the time, but I just kind of wait to see how they're introducing the seeds of this into the Spider-Man and how that is. Oh, wait. What?
So which is coming first, Spider-Man or Doctor Strange?
See, I would have thought it made sense for Strange to come first, but I think Strange is 2020 next year. Spider-Man, they're deep in filming now, so I guess that has to be sooner.
Yeah, but isn't Doctor Strange deep in filming as well? Let's have a look. Hold on. So, Doctor Strange and the... Oh, it's not even listed here. If you just type in Doctor Strange, it doesn't actually bring up... Okay, hold on.
Spider-Man is scheduled for December 2021.
Ooh. Could that be like the first big film of 2021? Release date. Release date for Doctor Strange is March 25th, 2022.
Yeah,
so that could still be a standalone sort of like entry into the multiverse. I've kind of got a feeling, well, not a feeling, we have been told that essentially WandaVision will lead into Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And that, which to me means this show is going to end on the mother of cliffhangers.
So yeah, she must end with unstable in reality, just breaking it all apart, and then I guess in the next two films they have to figure out how to fix it.
And then we've got to wait until like March of next year to like watch a conclusion.
Yeah. Damn it.
Do you think this is a one series shot and that's it? Like once the season is done, there's no more WandaVision.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with actually, because if you're like I said, if it's it's just a different way of watching a film. Some things don't need to go on for 7 seasons. If you've done a good show, a good miniseries or whatever, that's all it needs to be. Then that's all it needs to be.
Yeah, that's what I think they're gonna do. Definitely. All right, so.
Right, shall we get into the news?
Let's do it.
Right. Oh my God. I was so distraught, Eddie. So distraught last week when you texted me. So,
Joss Whedon. Just after we recorded last week, all of this started to pour out.
I am utterly shocked. I know before I was saying, let's give the guy the benefit of the doubt. He can't be that bad. We know he's like, we know he's had his issue with like Ray Fisher. We know there was something between him and Charisma Carpenter. But like, I don't know how he's managed to keep things so quiet for so long.
Don't forget the stunt woman for Buffy when she came out with her story. All the signs were there. We just woefully ignorant. We chose to ignore it, but too much now.
It's just come flooding out. Do you want to give a quick overview?
Well, Charisma Carter basically came out. I guess he was just fed up with keeping quiet and letting Ray Fisher take all the flack because. He's been a lone island in all of this.
He has indeed.
Even though he's been very annoying in the way he's gone about it, he hasn't let it go. And
do you know what? Actually, you are right. I was thinking he was being very annoying, but if you actually step back from it and put yourself in his shoes, actually, I can understand why he won't keep quiet about this, because it kind of seems like Warner Brothers don't actually want to do anything about it.
And no one seems to be doing anything about it. Like the fact that he's got the new HBO show shows that, But the thing is, he's stepping away,
that, though, isn't he? Yeah.
Him saying stress. Do you think that he was approached or someone tipped him to say that this was going to happen, and that he got ahead of it?
Well, no, I think it's all the Ray Fisher stuff that's probably made him step away, right? Because
that was dying down.
Yeah,
but in the summer, this was.
But he hasn't. But they're just announcing him stepping away now. But this show's been in production for like 2 years.
Yeah, like even his spokesperson, that was like November, December. But anyway, Charisma Carter came out. Forget the deals. You remember it?
So essentially, she came out to say that she can't keep quiet any longer about this, and she gave like a little bit of a detail as to like what happened on the set of Angel. So essentially, saying that he fired her for being pregnant. He basically humiliated her, and then there were things like they were making her, after her doctor said like she needs to be off her feet and not do such long days, they were making her start work at 1 a.m. as a retaliatory to it. So they were all
She was basically saying that he was willfully cruel, and that he found humor in belittling people and being cruel. And at one point, when she first came to them about being pregnant, he said, like, are you keeping it? Like, do you need to keep it?
Yeah.
Like, just horrendous. But then once she did that, like, everyone came out. Fucking Miss Michelle Gellar came out. She didn't say details of her own experience. But she did say that she stands with what Charisma Carter said and everybody else, and that all the, basically, And then Michelle Strattenberg.
She came out, and then
I'm proud to be associated with Buffy, but not with Joss Whedon, and how that there was
she was not allowed to be, or Joss Whedon was not allowed to be on set alone with her
because of what had happened before. So basically, he had been inappropriate with her in some way. They didn't give no details. Which is kind of frustrating, but their own business. But sounds like he was basically gone.
I was talking with a friend of mine, and he was actually saying, well, he goes, not to like defend Joss Whedon, but he goes, apparently it's actually quite standard for like young child actors not to be alone with like certain people on set.
That's what I would have thought, but she clearly said because of what had happened before. So he'd been doing shit or tried to do shit.
And then Amber Benson also came out afterwards.
I didn't see what she said though.
I think it was just more of a just showing support. But then over the weekend there were calls for David Boreanaz, who was just silent.
He
did eventually come out, but apparently he doesn't have like much of a social media presence. Smart guy, but he did show support. But apparently Amy Acker, Elizabeth Dushku came out as well, but there were three main people who were silent. So that was Amy Acker, although she's now since come out, I think today or yesterday. Alison Hannigan, I don't think it said anything so far, and her husband, Alex Denisoff, who played Wesley.
It's mad though. Like, you think of Dushku, like, I know she wasn't in Buffy a lot, but she was there enough that she would have seen stuff. But then for her to still do Dollhouse afterwards.
Well, so this is it, right? So I've had this conversation with people on Reddit, and they were actually saying, and it makes a lot of sense, when you're a young actor and you don't have a lot of options, like Sarah Michelle Gellar by the end of Buffy had options, right?
Because what did she do?
No, but she did go off and be in a bunch of films. But listen, she's an absolute like millionaire now, right? She's got this whole empire, or a food empire or something. But the others, right? When you're still at that level, you go where the work is, right? And you think, if it means I get work and my profile goes up, I will try and hack it.
It is suspicious. Like, I can understand why some of the guys aren't saying stuff, because I'm presuming, like I kind of text you, Joss Whedon was doing a lot of this in isolation with these women, getting them separated.
I don't understand that though. I can't understand.
That's how bullies work. That's how those sort of people do what they do, and they know how to get. They know that they can't do it in front of certain people because they don't feel they can get away.
But what you're counting on there is, right. So let's just take Anthony Stewart Head as an example, right? So he goes, he's distraught. He goes, he never saw any of this happening. He's absolute, like, his support is with like the females that have come out. But what I don't understand is how can all the females on that set all be bullied the way that they were? Surely they're talking amongst themselves. Surely Anthony Stewart Head goes like, why is Charisma Carpenter always upset? Like, let me go and speak to her. When you're on that set for 7 years, unless you're all assholes and hate each other, you're hanging out and you're talking to each other, right?
That's true. But I guess you could probably say that they dismissed it and just thought that they were just being, I don't want to say it, but they were just being overly sensitive to criticisms of some way. Maybe they just weren't seeing that bigger perspective that we now have of how he was conducting himself.
Maybe it was different times, right? I mean, like, even if Anthony Stewart knew something was happening, there was nothing he could do. Right? He's just an actor on that set.
But it's not uncommon for directors to be tyrants. There's
absolutely.
And maybe they were just viewing it through that lens, that he was just being a slight hard.
And that is now changing, and hopefully for the better, right? But it's kind of like there are people, the real people, the real criminals here are like the higher ups that probably knew this was going on, or probably knew this was going on multiple like shows, right? Not just Joss Whedon, and just allowed it to keep happening.
Yeah. How?
Enabled the man. I mean, I think there's also something over the weekend where someone came out and said like he's even made like female writers like cry.
He seemed like someone who was bullied at school. He looks like the sort of guy that was probably bullied, wasn't the nerdy kid. But now he has power.
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to get back at those cool kids by just
Yeah,
being
but it's if you go
evil
back,
son of a bitch.
and I did actually watch all of Buffy quite recently, and that's going to pain me the next time I watch it. Right? Is
Yeah.
if you look at the message of Buffy, it's about female empowerment. It's about inclusivity, right, and diversity. It's about teaching, like, it's even saying to like men, you don't need to be afraid of like powerful women and stuff like that, right? All the messages in the show are really positive, and you're kind of like, how
That
did it
makes
come
it
from this
more
guy?
evil. That
Yeah,
he
how?
knew what he was doing. The fact that he had that perspective, wow. Yeah, crazy.
It's the next time you watch that show, it's going to be so difficult to think like something I love so much. Basically, people had to suffer, they had to be humiliated in order to make this product.
But what's going on now with Joss? He's got to be done now. But where does that put the Nevers? Like, is that going to be something that they just going to decide, fuck it?
Well, I guess it all depends on like how well it does in the ratings, because obviously he's now stepped away, and I think the thing you need to remember, whether it's the Nevers, whether it's Buffy, whether it's the Avengers, he is just one person, right? He may have created the show, but
he's
like
also a producer, and he will continue getting
also
paid. His name will always be attached to it in the opening credits. Is there going to be a point where they just want to cut that out with the Nevers?
Well, I think that's a whole other kind of thing that I don't think I'm qualified enough to talk about the legalities of what one can and can't do there. It's a tough one, right? If it's a hit, if it's a ratings hit, they'll probably try and continue with another team, right? It brings somebody else in as a showrunner.
Well, they already have, but just the fact that it's still going to open with created by and produced by Joss Whedon could be enough for me to be like, let's just cut while we're ahead and just,
Possibly
let season one run and then just be done with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's it's a tough one.
Shame. Now to another shining light of the community, Gina Carano.
This one I think is not so clear cut. There is like it's more black and white,
there is
gray
more
type thing.
Nuance, freedom of speech.
Yeah. I don't think freedom of speech comes into this one, actually. I know a lot of people are saying that, but I think a lot of people actually don't understand what freedom of speech is. But I don't know if you want to...
Having freedom of speech, everyone has it in the West. It's not just America, despite what they
but in
say.
America, it's a very specific thing. So freedom of speech means that you are free to speak your mind out and not be persecuted by the government.
Yes, government.
Yes.
You should always still expect that there could be other repercussions for spewing whatever the fuck you say.
Exactly. It's like me. If I was to spew a load of things in my office, I couldn't expect to like stay employed because I was like, I've got freedom of choice. I should be able to say whatever I want.
Repercussion. And I guess Gina don't get that. I think there's a reason. Well, get into the story. You'll get into the.
Do you want to do the story, or am I going to do the story?
You.
All right. Okay. So fine. So this is something that's been going on for quite a while now, right? I think it all started, last summer when there was a whole movement to try and get people to put like their pronouns in their bios, and she didn't want to do it. And you know what? Fair play. If you don't want to do it, you shouldn't be forced to do it, right? So I completely kind of get that. So you either ignore it or you don't do it. And unfortunately, I think she angered a load of people by putting pronouns down as like boop, beep, and bop or something, which I think antagonized some people, which might have then at that point started a fight between her and a certain segment of Twitter. Now, I've not actually read the entire history of all of her like tweets and stuff, and I don't think the things that she has said quite correlates with what Disney's press statement said. The Disney press statement said that we're parting ways with Gina because of like her posts on social media and her abhorrent things that she has said about minorities.
Well, the thing that set it off, that Disney seemed to be willing to tolerate all the other sort of stuff that she was tweeting, because that was just more just general political opinion, which everyone should have. But it was when she compared the way that right wingers were being treated to how the children or families during the Holocaust could be treated.
It's just so like that is an abhorrent thing to say, right? That is absolute. Like when people like criticize belittle rather the Holocaust, it really enrages me, because that is like the darkest period of human history, right? Literally, we saw the worst things that humans could do to each other being done in living memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even something that happened like 1,000 years ago. And it's just a crazy thing, because Carano is apparently quite wealthy, right? She comes from a very wealthy family.
Yes. And I think
Like, when
that's
I
kind of
say- yeah.
why that galvanizes her opinion to just being able to say what she wants without having any pushback. It's because
Yeah.
she's from money and
Yeah,
success.
but like her views do seem to be like very right wing. And I don't know if you've seen some of the fallout from this. Apparently, do you know who Ben Shapiro is?
Yep.
So he's now set up a movie studio or some form of like film distribution center where he's going to be making films with people who are being ostracized out of Hollywood.
Shapiro's an interesting cat because he's
I
an
don't-
intelligent guy. He's someone
He's
who
not. He's not though, because have you heard like some of the stuff that he says sometimes? The one that always gets me is like he goes, "Global warming is not that big of an issue. If your house
Jesus.
if your house is underwater, you can always sell it and buy somewhere else." And you're kind of thinking,
that's not the point.
how do
Shouldn't
you
be
sell a
underwater in the
house
first place.
How do you sell a house that's under? Who the fuck is going to buy a house underwater? So if that's your
You shouldn't be
financial
underwater in the
genius.
first place. It should be.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway,
So
yeah. Let's keep it on the track.
Yeah, because I hear that there are people that have gone to her to say that helping her make a movie that she wants to write and star in.
But it's kind of like, if you go down that distribution deal, right? Because no one's going to touch it now from like the system.
Where are you going to release this?
Exactly. Cinemas aren't going to want to screen it. You're not going to get it on streaming platforms. Like, where is the outlet for this?
Interesting. But you see now the people are calling for Pascal to be removed from Mandalorian.
So I actually don't know what Pascal said.
It's this is the guy who plays Mandalorian, guys. He had a tweet a couple of years ago where he compared, not when America was doing the whole immigration, getting the family, separating the kids from the parents. He was comparing that to Jewish how the Jewish were being treated during the Holocaust.
But that is a lot more comparable, right? Because you are caging up children in fucking cages. You are separating people from their families.
Obviously.
It even came out. Did you actually hear? So we're getting very political here, but did you actually hear there were a few isolated incidents? 6 women have come out to say they had surgical procedures carried out on them where they ripped out their wombs.
Wow. Oh, I did hear that. Oh,
yeah. Do you know what I mean? That is a lot more comparable. Carano is not being treated like she's in the Holocaust.
But regardless, there are people calling for that from their perspective as being the equivalent, which I don't think it is, but so of it, and that's become this whole little thing now that they're trying to push to get him removed. It won't happen though. But still.
But you know what? The amount of like famous folks that have come out like in support of Carano, and we start looking at like their tweets. Dean Cain, I didn't realize he was like a proper right wing. I'm not gonna say nut job because I didn't see any nut job, but he was just like saying it's cost me $20 more to fill up my gas tank today. Thank you very much, Biden, type thing.
It's you have to presume it is it's not just the middle of the country. You have to presume it is 50% of almost 50% of most people. That includes actors.
It's going really crazy. It's I can't ever remember it like this.
It was sad to see Hercules and Xena going at each other on Twitter.
But Hercules, he seems nuts though.
He is nuts, but it's just a sad thing because I had a soft spot for those shows, so it's just sad.
But but the two are so like polar opposite.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's saying what he's saying, and she's like, "Shut up, you're an idiot." Oh, it's like seeing your parents on you.
Yeah, it's so polarizing at the moment, and I do ever wonder if we'll ever come back to like normality.
It just it feels like everyone's being pushed apart during these Trump years to their sides of the house, and they built a wall right in between them. It's like there's no way for anyone to come together now. It's like this the new normal. This is how it's always going to be now.
It's absolutely horrible. And I'm kind of glad at this moment I'm just stuck at home and can't go out into this kind of world where people are like this. But
and to be fair, there are just as many head cases on the left side of things as there are on the right side of things. Well, maybe not as much, but there's still just almost as many.
Yeah,
This-
but without
They're
wanting
so
to get too
far.
political,
They're
they
so
are so
far.
far, and they are so political. But the one thing is, the easy way to say it, on the right, it's all about exclusivity, right? And on the left, it's all about inclusivity.
Oh, yeah, but no, but that's a whole other conversation. That would
It
take
is,
so
and that's
long.
way beyond like a movie podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, next story, man. Pascal
So
carrying on.
keeping with Pascal, well, it looks like he's not hurting for jobs, right? So HBO have cast him in the Last of Us series.
Yeah, I think most people are into this. You obviously got a few that are like, what? Why has it gone to I don't even know what he is. Where's he from? I don't think he's Mexican. I think he's like Venezuela or something like that.
Yeah, he's Latin American.
Yeah, but he embodies the spirit of Joel, the main.
I mean, I don't
character.
really know the story of the game or whatever. I know the bare bones outline of it, but he's a good actor, right? So why would you not want a good actor portraying? Because isn't the story about a man who's trying to take a child to get some medical treatment?
No, it's deep into not deep, couple of years into the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Once this virus hits the world.
Yeah.
And he's entrusted against his will to a degree with this child who's we find out it could be a spoiler for the show, but if you play the game, fuck it, she's immune. This disease that's killing everybody, and this one girl
that's it.
is immune.
Yes, yeah. So they want to basically test her, right?
So he has to get her to this this Firefly hospital to get a vaccine to be created from her blood. And
so this is like HBO's version of News of the World. It's a road story, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say. I'm curious to see how close they're going to stick to the games, especially the second game, the controversial game that gets everybody online arguing and fighting.
So I wonder, because I know The Last of Us is something that people absolutely love, like story-wise and game-wise. Like it's one of those pinnacle type of things. So it'd be really interesting to see, as like a viewer who's never played the game, whether they can then take the strings of that story and craft it into like a compelling show that like resonates to like non-gamers.
I'm interested to see how they're going to handle the stuff where they're just out on the road during that journey, how they're going to keep that engaging, and how many, who are they going to come across, and how that's going to be. Yeah, because in the game that could be like 10 hours of just traversing ruins. So how will that be translated? But
is that in the is that where is that in the game? Do they essentially, is that where you're like leveling up and like just killing zombies or whatever it is, like until you hit the next waypoint?
Crafting weapons, stuff. You do come across various individuals, but that's a large part of the game. So
right,
should be interesting.
Right, this next one has got me really excited. You know what? I read it. So you've got like Donald Glover and Phoebe Waller-Bridge set to star in Mr. and Mrs. Smith series, right? And I had to go and look it up. And I was like, is this the same Mr. and Mrs. Smith film?
The Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie movie.
Right. So I think I must have had like a really bad day, because I remember trying to watch this film and not enjoying it. But on IMDb, it's like rated a 7. And like a lot of the reviews are like 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. And I was like, I need to watch this again.
It's not revolutionizing the world, but it's just a
but if it's just a dumb fun action film, which sounds like, and I think it should also have some comedy in it, right?
Yes, comedy.
That's like my kind of film. So I'm gonna watch it again.
It's peak Angelina Jolie, which she was gorgeous.
This is like what started Brangelina, right?
That too, and Brad Pitt for the ladies. Married couple. Neither of them realized that each of them are spies for different organizations.
Terrible spies then.
Yeah. It was originally based on a black and white film. Was it black and white, or was it older?
It's an old film.
So it was a remake. And then there was a TV show.
Oh, really?
After the Brad Pitt and Angelina film, which had the chick from Fast and Furious, the little sister. But that didn't last long. And and they're going to do it again. But this is very different. This could be very interesting, especially with who's involved.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Both of them are writers. Both of them are very good writers in creative minds. So where this could be a lot of fun.
Hold on. Are they starring in it, or are those
starring in it?
Oh, they are starring in it. Because I was going to say, I want to see both of those in it.
But I find it hard to believe that they're not going to be involved in the creative side of it.
Yeah. I'm incredibly excited about this because this just sounds like an incredibly good idea with some really talented folks behind driving this forward, and I think there's a lot of stuff you could do between like between two spies that don't know that they're spies.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama, tension, comedy.
Yeah, I hope they have to. Like both of them are comedic actors to a degree, so it's just gonna.
Yeah. I look forward to it, and I think in the meantime, I'm gonna track down the original film and watch it, and probably say, yep, actually, you know what, I was wrong. I really did enjoy it. Yeah. Director Adam Wingard's Face Off film will be a direct sequel, not a remake.
Well, first off, I didn't even know they were making a.
I was gonna say, I didn't know that was happening either.
This has popped up. But
so Face Off. So this was like Travolta and Cage.
Nicolas Cage. Classic to some. I don't necessarily feel like it holds up, but at the same time,
was this a John Woo film?
Yes, it was.
Yes,
but it's very over the top.
Yeah,
tongue in cheek to a degree. It knows how ridiculous it is, but it is fun in its bad way. For most people.
It's been a long time since I've seen this, actually. I might have to go watch this again as well.
But this director, he's interesting. He's done a bunch of cool, small indie films. A lot of them are horror.
Right.
But I think the biggest film is the next one he's got coming out, which is Godzilla vs. Kong. But before that, he did The Guest, which is a film I really like. You're Next, which is a pretty cool little horror film. Blair Witch.
The new Blair Witch, that's from 2016.
Yeah. He did a bunch of the VHS films, which are like compilation horror films, like. But a lot of the stuff people generally like.
Did he direct Death Note? That abomination of a Netflix film.
It's the Netflix one. Oh yeah. Shit, it is. Interesting.
Oh my god, that's got a rating of 4.5.
The thing is, I'm holding on to The Guest because it is a damn good film. So it shows that there's potential there for something cool.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think to rate him on like Death Note is probably unfair because that was never going to be something you could like film into like a Western film.
Doomed before it began.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think I guess Godzilla vs. Kong is going to be the best thing to judge him on, to see how he handles action and a bigger budget. But to make it a sequel, I don't think it really matters because I doubt you're going to have either of the Travolta or Cage in it.
Yep.
So it just takes place in a world that other story happened, and now they're just doing it.
How can it be a sequel then? Is it just two other people that are doing a?
I guess if they maybe it has to connect somehow. But who?
Maybe it will be them. Maybe he is getting Travolta and.
Please, no more Cage. No.
Cage is in like the shape of his life at the moment, man. Still looks like a young man.
No, he ain't. You saw how they're cutting around all those little scenes we just backing off the monsters.
Do you think that Cage would have actually ever got into the acting world had he's like was he not the nephew of like Francis Ford Coppola?
I think he would, because he didn't rely on that name. Like he purposely stayed away from it.
His first big move. Oh, he was in like Francis Ford Coppola directed Peggy Sue Got Married, and John Travolta was in that. It's weird to say the guy who directed The Godfather directed Peggy Sue Got Married.
Yeah. Oh no, I think as much as I rag on Nicolas Cage, he's older. Like what he was doing in the late 80s, 90s.
The Rock
was like stellar.
Con Air. Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas. Raising Arizona. Like those films. Wild at Heart.
Yeah, he's class. I don't know why people like give him such a hard time.
Yeah, because now, the last 20 years of garbage that he's been doing.
He can do what he wants now. He's got the money.
He hasn't. That's why he's doing it. I mean, you heard the divorces and all of that.
Come on, man. He cannot have made anything from Wally's Wonderland or whatever it was. Like that looked like such a low budget movie. It probably I feel like he had to supply his own drinks.
Probably.
But this next story has got me super excited.
I was until you remember who McG is and what he does.
Yeah, he did Chuck, mate. So that's enough for me. McG is doing a True Lies action comedy series adaptation, and it also has a pilot order at CBS. So when I looked this up earlier today, after I saw this, I think I found an old story that apparently this was going to be done by Disney Plus. Like in May 2019, it was like McG has brought because they own the True Lies thing now, right? Since the Fox buyout. So it's very odd that they were doing this at Disney Plus, and now all of a sudden it's gone to CBS. And maybe it's because it was too adult orientated.
Possibly. This is McG. He doesn't really do adult films. I guess the most adult one is the one you saw that you liked, Babysitter. On Netflix.
Oh, that is a brilliant film. Yeah, The Babysitter. I love that film.
But he did
Terminator. You still haven't.
Yeah,
Salvation.
Terminator Salvation, garbage. Even though I kind of have fun with them, I can recognize they're not good films. The Charlie's Angels films.
That first Charlie's Angels film was brilliant.
It's fun. It's fun.
It captures the mood way more than the 2019 one.
Yeah. And then you got This Means War, and then a bunch of these sort of middle ground garbage. And also Babysitter 2, which you didn't say was good.
That wasn't particularly good.
So it was still him.
No. But with True Lies, there's so much you could do with this. Like it's been begging for more in that universe. And they were even saying there was a possibility that Arnold Schwarzenegger might guest star in it.
That could be fun. The new agent. He's like the guy running the place now. That's the thing. McG, either way, it could be fun, dumb fun, cool action, or it would just be garbage.
Yeah.
Get what you get.
Cool. Right, mini news. Right, before I'm going to switch the order of the mini news here, because today I got an email from Uber. I know this has got nothing to do with movies, but I had to talk to somebody about it. I got an email from Uber Eats, right? For a limited time, you're going to be interested in this, Eddie. Right, you know, how Endgame was the most, the most anticipated crossover in movie history. Imagine they've done that with food. They have got a pizza crossed with KFC.
What pizza? Is it actual brand?
It's an actual Pizza Hut. It's Pizza Hut, right? It's a Pizza Hut margarita with gravy sauce with chicken popcorn.
Oh, that could be cool.
That I'm going to order one of those this weekend, I think. Friday night, I'm doing that pizza. I should have put a link in here to the picture. In fact, Google KFC versus Pizza Hut, and you'll get the picture.
This is definitely happening in UK.
Oh yeah. I actually went onto the app after getting the email to see if it's available.
Because usually these amazing foods, these food Frankenstein creations that will guaranteed to give you a heart attack, usually only happen in America.
Oh no.
We don't get those. We're doing this.
It's happening here, mate. It is happening here. And I have no idea what it's going to taste like, but this is the end game of food.
Okay, I'm doing that on Friday. I'm doing that Friday
as well.
KFC and Pizza Hut have had a weird relationship. There was at one point, I remember in Norbury, there was a combination KFC Pizza Hut, and then
they are owned. They are I don't know if they still are, but they both used to be owned by Pepsi.
Oh, okay. I don't know how can that fail. I think it was only open for a year. How can that fail? Pizza Hut. KFC.
I think it's two very different markets. You don't go into Pizza Hut thinking, I'll have a KFC burger. You're going to Pizza Hut because you want a pizza.
But they could just get a pizza. It was a Pizza Hut as well. And the KFC. How can it fail? I don't get how that failed.
There would literally have to be two different restaurants, right? Two different kitchens.
Crazy. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Mo. Oh, yes.
So everything else here is just pointless.
Yeah.
After that, HBO's True Blood reboot has no plans to bring back any of the original cast, which probably is for the best, right? Because if it's going to be rubbish, you don't want to taint it.
Nah. Yeah, you got to start from the beginning. Just do it. Just do it from the get go. Let the original be the original.
Yeah.
And hopefully don't make the same mistakes. But hasn't it got the same guy doing it though?
It is. Alan Ball is coming back to do this. It's just mad to think they're doing a reboot and this show it is only 10 years old or something. If that.
It's just that's what's sticking to that. He's still doing it. That means it's probably going to go down the same routes of where it kind of started to fall apart.
Yeah, and you could almost have a shot-for-shot remake, right? If that's the case.
Yeah.
It's what are they doing different other than putting in new actors? I mean, are you ever gonna get like that same Sookie Stackhouse or
That chemistry with Bill.
yeah,
and
exactly, yeah,
Sookie.
yeah,
Aw.
yeah, or
Um,
Jason.
Yeah. I just love that show. All right, superhero news.
Right. So the one thing that we haven't talked about that's been like actually around for a couple of weeks now is
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler has got himself a 5-year deal at Disney Plus, and one of those things includes a Wakanda TV series.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm really curious to know what this main story thread is going to be. It's based in Wakanda,
Yeah.
but who's the star? Is it just going to be people on the street living day to day? Can't be that. It has to be some sort of bigger superhero thing to it. Like, what's the?
There is some, I guess it is because like what we saw in Black Panther, it is like a city unlike any other city on the planet, right? So I guess there is a lot of story that you could possibly tell here.
But what do you tell? Like, what's the?
No idea. Surely you would also have to bring someone from the actual MCU in to carry the show, right?
Yeah. Again, yeah. Do you make it a prequel to the movies
It
in
could
some
be just
way?
something that's happening. Well,
Have
I think
Lupita run it, or David Kalua, who was
it's a
like
bit
the.
difficult, really, isn't it? Because then you've got that whole
But he
question
could be
around the
off
Black
doing.
Panther thing.
He could be off doing something. You can have Black Panther turn up in the suit. Doesn't have to be him.
Yeah. I
Maybe
think if
have
they,
Ulysses
uh,
Claw, the Andy Serkis character, be the main villain for it. That's something to do if it's a
yeah.
prequel.
Oof. With the MCU, I like how the way that they're always looking forward. I know we had like the odd film that's kind of like
Yeah.
as a prequel or whatever.
I don't see how else, what other story do you tell? It has to be
Listen,
somebody trying to break into Wakanda to still vibrate it. That's like
or
the basic story.
or it's the fallout, because remember in Black Panther the whole thing, it was like a hidden city,
like a little mini. Yeah,
like
someone breaking
yeah,
in.
like yeah, but like no one's known. Now they've got to deal with the fallout of the whole world knowing about it.
Yeah, coming at them.
So that would be a really interesting story as well, right? Because suddenly they're like the most resourceful city in the whole world, or city,
Yeah.
I say country in the whole world.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Really don't know where they can go with
Yeah.
this.
But
Curious.
also that is also tying Coogler to Disney for the next 5 years, right? Which also then means he's probably not going to be doing projects outside of Disney.
Yeah. I'm sure he probably somewhere in his deal has got a one for you, one for me sort of thing where he gets to do
He
something
probably
smaller.
has, but like he's like I'm not entirely sure some of the stuff that he's done would fit well with like Disney itself creatively, right?
Don't forget, Disney have other studios under their umbrella where they do those sort of serious films. It's not all just Disney.
But the deal is Disney Plus. It's very specifically Disney Plus.
We've got stars now.
Well, we say stars, but I think it's their Hulu, right? Essentially, we're getting stuff that Disney are putting on Hulu.
Yeah. So maybe it's something that could
I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm like cursing them. I'm like, why wait till next Tuesday? Why not launch like this Friday?
4-time MCU. Does it hold up? What year was this one?
So this was actually brought out in 2011 and currently has a rating of 7.0.
So how did you feel about 4 revisiting it?
Right, you know what? I remember seeing this at the cinema and really enjoying it. This time round, I was a little bit disengaged with watching this film. I don't know why.
It's, I guess, compared to where everything goes, especially in the whole MCU with all the other films, this was still very much in that modest budget, small, contained sort of stage where they were still kind of not completely confident that everything was going to be a hit. So you can see that they were holding back. So you just had this tiny little location of this little town, even though the Asgard looks amazing.
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah.
But yeah, the little town that he was in was kind of what kind of killed it a little bit to some degree. But
so am I guessing that you felt the same as well then?
Yes, but some of that could be just Branagh style of directing as well. Kind of have to
Yeah,
Acknowledge
because
that.
so far I've enjoyed like all the other films, right? It's been like I said, like Sundays really become like, oh, I'm gonna watch like the next MCU film type thing. And I was kind of watching this,
It's like
and there's
TV show.
nothing wrong with this film.
It's still a fun film.
There's
Still a
nothing
fun
wrong
film.
with it. I mean, I still watched the whole thing, but there were just kind of times where, for whatever reason, I just wasn't engaging, wasn't finding it interesting. You could definitely tell that like Portman and what's the name?
Hemsworth.
Yeah, not Hemsworth. Portman and the chick Darcy.
Oh, Kate Denton.
Yeah, they
Denton.
you know, I was very interested in their characters. I thought like they kind of played really well together. Hemsworth portrayed Thor like no one else could, right? You look at him and he is Thor. I guess the whole thing about like him just losing his hammer and trying to get to it, and you're kind of like, I just want to see Thor just bash stuff up.
Yeah, you do have that little big chunk in like the first
Yeah.
half where he's kind of not doing much, or
Yeah.
the middle.
Yeah, I mean all the stuff with Loki was like all the interesting stuff, right?
Yeah, thank God he's there. Thank God he's there. He really brings it, because the chemistry between Portman and Hemsworth really ain't that great, to be honest. Really,
Yeah, because it's not really there, and at the end they've got like that forced kiss, really, haven't they?
Yeah, I never really felt it for any of their appearances. So I'm curious to see if it's going to be any better with Love and Thunder, the third one, the fourth one.
Yes, yeah.
Crazy. But even with the bad guys, the Frost Giants, just not really defined enough to be interesting.
No, exactly. Like they never really felt like a threat. They were like in the beginning, and then like the whole plot went away, and then they came back towards the end. They just, The only real memorable thing about this film, and I say memorable because I always forget it after having watched the film, and always surprised every time I watch it, is that J. Michael Straczynski has like a cameo in the film.
Oh yeah.
It's always like you're watching it, you're like, that's Straczynski.
So, what do you think of Thor's little crew? That's the first time. Do you think they needed to be well defined a bit better? Because they were a bit of a...
Yeah, they didn't really get a lot of screen time either, did they? They were literally like his crew, his entourage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I did
happy.
love the scene where they all meet up again, right?
Yeah, that was funny. And good to hear that Lady Sif is coming back for Love and Thunder as well. Because she really has got the worst end of the stick out of a lot of them. But I think that's more to do because of a TV show, though.
The TV show?
Yeah, she has that show. But I can't remember what it's called. One where she has all the tattoos on the body. And that's kept being what interfered with her being able to.
Oh right, because she was the only one. Because she did pop up in like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for an episode.
Yeah.
And when that happened, we were all like, "Oh my god, this show's gonna be great. We're gonna start seeing like people from the films appear." And it was like it never happened again until like Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, I was gonna say right at the end, like he popped up.
So, any other thing you want to point out from this?
It's just a very unmemorable film, really. It's got like all the names. It's got like what's his name's in it? Anthony Hopkins. It's got Rene Russo.
Idris Elba.
Yeah,
it is probably one of, if not, I'm trying to think immediately from this point. This may be the weakest of all of the Marvel films, in my opinion.
Oh, I don't know. There's
and that
includes
Marvel
still to come.
And I'm gonna say 4 is worse than that.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy this film. I still like this film.
That means you must strokes. So that means you must enjoy Captain Marvel more.
I might do. But that is a problem one as well, man.
Now, the one film I don't remember very well is Thor 2. And people seem to really dislike Thor 2.
I don't think it's as bad as people remember it being. It has a weird tone to it. It does have a strange little tone to it, but I think that it's stronger than this. But some people might like the humor in this more. I don't know. We'll see.
Now, what I didn't understand was that frost thing that Loki was carrying around, right? The thing that that's what is that?
It's just a weapon.
It's just a weapon, right? So it's not like the Tesseract or anything like that.
No.
Because is it the Tesseract that appears right in the end after the end credits?
Yeah, it's in the vault. So what do you remember being worse than this then, besides Captain Marvel?
You see, the thing is, I don't remember any of the films being that bad. I think probably the one I enjoyed the least is probably Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Again, not that bad in my opinion, but I guess we'll find out. But yeah, for me, this is the lowest bar, which is crazy because it's still a fun
quite
film.
Early on. Yeah,
but it's still a fine film. You know, if it was on TV, I wouldn't mind watching it.
I mean, I know the first Avengers is a pretty good film from what I remember. It might be like nothing compared to like what came like for number 2, but I remember that first one being quite fun, which is incidentally the next film up.
I think number 2 was worse than number 1 in the Avengers.
Number 2. Hold on, wait.
Age of Ultron.
Oh, you're talking Avengers. I'm talking about Captain America.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So what? Avengers is after this one. That is actually really quick.
No. You've got the first Avenger after this. Captain America, the first Avenger.
That's what you're throwing.
Yes. Not the first Avengers film.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, I can see where the misunderstanding was.
Yeah, I said the first Avengers. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So definitely, this is, I think, of all the films we've seen so far, this is the worst. But it's not like saying it's a terrible film, dump it in the sea and never watch it again.
Still a 3.
Yeah, I'd give it a 3. Yeah.
About a 3. Yeah. Just middle of the road. What do you guys think? Are we being too harsh? Let us know. Or do you think that this is way more of a beloved film? Maybe you did watch it. If it's 2011, there could be someone who watched this when they were 10.
Oh, blatantly, of course there are.
And they're like,
who are listening to us.
And they're
like 20 years old now.
They're 20 now, and it's like,
saying,
I love this. This was like a beloved.
I'm never listening to you guys again. You just pissed over my favorite film, my favorite MCU film.
That's crazy to think about, man. Yeah. Just wow, the nostalgia. There's nostalgia factor. Never underestimate the nostalgia factor. So that's it. We're done.
We are done. Yes.
Edie, Mo, how can they get in contact with us?
Right, folks, if you want to contact us, we are at tatmpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to tweet us, we are Talking Movies 3. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, we are Talking at the Movies.
Don't forget, guys, check out the Voltron Network. Just want to watch us, show us some love, give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, help us reach out to more people and bring them into this cult of ours.